Great afternoon, everybody. Today, I'm feeling incredibly excited to share something that has made a big impact in my life over the past year. Something simple, yet so powerful. It is goal setting. Now, I'm sure we all know the importance of having goals, right? But let me ask you a different question. How many of us truly know how to set them, track them, and actually stay on course? Not a lot of us, right? And that's where our school introduced an amazing concept that has completely transformed my academic journey, the Dost book. It's not just a notebook, no. It's like a guide, a roadmap, a tool to reflect on my progress and learn from my mistakes. So, today I want to share how goal setting with Dost book helped me improve my grades and become more focused and organized. So, let's begin with the first lesson I learned, that clarity is power. So, as soon as the session started, I had a wish like any other child. I wanted to improve my grades in all subjects. The only thing I didn't know was how to actually do that. My goals have always been vague, like I want to do well in school, I want to be more athletic, I want to become more social, and the list goes on. But that's when Toastbook taught me my first lesson, that your goals without actual plans are nothing more than wishes. Yes, the reality check was definitely a bit unexpected. But then I opened my Dost book and I found a section called Subject Specific Goals. There, now enlightened me, instead of writing something vague like, I want to do well in math, wrote down that I want to improve my math grade from 85% to 95% by the end of this term. Now, this may seem like a small change, going from a vague wish to something more specific, a measurable goal. But believe me, it changed everything. As Tony Robbins once rightly said, goal setting is the first step of turning something that's invisible visible again. I wasn't just aiming to do well in general, no. I knew exactly what I wanted to achieve. Now, having clarity is good, but clarity alone is not enough. You need a plan to actually reach that goal. And that's where the second lesson comes into play. Small steps, big gains. The second thing that those book taught me was how to break down these big goals that you set for yourself into smaller, more manageable steps. I remember the feeling of getting overwhelmed when I thought to myself, how do you even go from 85% to 95% in just one term? Like, this is a difficult task, right? But then I turned to the roadmap section of my Dost book, and it guided me towards the smaller tasks that I must undertake to actually reach my goal, like solving 10 problems every single day, revising my module regularly, of course, revising trigger formulas every day, that one is a must, and of course, asking my teacher for help in the areas that I thought I was struggling with. As the saying goes, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Once I broke down this big goal of mine, it all felt much less intimidating. Every day I thought to myself, I could take up a smaller task, let's say reviewing the silly mistakes I did in my previous exams, and with enough practice and consistency, by the time my exams approached, I was feeling much more confident. Now, you have a plan in place, right? But one thing to remember is that mistakes are inevitable. So, what's more important is how you respond back to those mistakes. And that's what the third lesson is all about, that mistakes are your stepping stones. One of the most unique features of our Dost book is how it makes us track our performance after each exam. Instead of just looking at our marks and moving on, it provides us proper space to reflect back. Where did I end up right? And where did I end up slipping? You need to know all of that. And it's after looking at that that I realized that looking at our mistakes is just as important as, let's say, celebrating our successes. I remember after my first math exam, I didn't score as much as I thought I would. And of course, I was upset. But I wasn't discouraged. I opened up the Goof Ups page of my Dost book, and there I decided to write down the places where I thought I went a little wrong. And it was at that moment that I realized I hadn't been practicing enough inequality and mod problems. And at that moment, I thought to myself, I must not repeat the same mistake again, right? And this moment for me was such a big eye opener as I realized that these mistakes were no longer things I should be upset of or things that I should be afraid of. No, I could use them as learning opportunities, as stepping stones. I remember a great quote that Thomas Edison said on this. He said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. With each mistake I did, I was one step closer to reaching my overall goal. I actually adjusted my study schedule after that and added inequality problems in them. And what even I was shocked to see was that in the next exam, my score improved by a whopping 10%. Now that was quick and wasn't expected at all. So now you have a plan in place and you know that you must learn from your mistakes. But none of it would work without discipline. Harsh, but it is the truth. Discipline is the key, and that is what the next step is all about. Consistency is your key to reaching your goals. So let me ask you all a question. What do you think is the hardest part about goal setting? I'm sure you all may have different answers, but for me, it is definitely sticking to it. We all have days when we just don't feel like working. I have them, and I'm pretty sure you all must have them as well. And it's for those days that the no excuse list in my Dost book comes to my rescue. It is a place where I've written down all the things that I think will prevent me from reaching my goal and what I would do to overcome them. Now, I know myself very well, so I knew that I would be tempted to just leave my math practice in a corner on days when I would be tired or, let's say, busy. And it's for those days that I made this small commitment to myself. I must practice 5 questions before going to bed, no matter how tired I was. And it is this small commitment that has kept me accountable in the long run, and over time helped me build the habit of consistency. It is, of course, the motivation that will get you started, but it is the habit that will keep you going there. And that consistency is also about long term reflection. And that is what the next lesson is all about. The final lesson: reflection fuels progress. Thanks to those books, I have realized the value of reflecting on your progress long term. When I wrote down my marks in the notebook, those were not the only things I was looking at. No, I looked at how close I was to my overall session goal. The progress tracker in those books helped me a lot in finding out the areas that I was struggling with and the areas that I was steadily improving at. And with its help, I found out that I was steadily improving in trigonometry, which, of course, made me really happy as that chapter is rather confusing and I personally don't like it a lot. But then I also realized I still needed to work hard in PNC as I was struggling in it. These were all the things that I would have never noticed if it wasn't for the long-term reflection that those book encourages. As someone rightly said, study the past if you were to define the future. When you actually reflect on your progress, you're able to make better decisions about what is to come next and how to move forward. So, to sum it up, those books didn't just help me set goals. No, it was like a system to me, a system that allowed me to plan, to think, and to grow as an individual. So, here are the 5 key lessons I learned in my goal-setting journey with Dost book. First, set clear and specific goals. Second, break down all your big goals into smaller, more manageable steps. Third, don't be afraid of your mistakes. as they are your learning opportunities that will make you reach your goal. Fourth, consistency is the key. So try to remain consistent even when it is hard. And fifth, remember to reflect on your progress and keep adjusting yourself accordingly. Thanks to those books, I'm not just building better habits, I'm not just building them, I'm learning also that setbacks are a part of the process and that goal setting is not a destination to reach. No, it's a journey to be lived through and experienced. As Henry David Thoreau rightly said, what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. Thank you all.